Hey, so this video is intended for someone in particular, but I'm going to try to keep it as general in case anybody does run across it for whatever reason and needs some guidance at the very beginning. So basically, from what I saw from our conversation, your biggest issue is that you need to know how to set up a team to be able to start tackling some of the harder content. Um, the information you gave me is that you had like the LR turtlets, but he isn't awakened to LR because you can't handle that event, which is totally understandable, especially at first. LR level Dokkan events are difficult for beginners. I mean, they just are. That's kind of their design. Um, I used to take like 15 to 20 minutes just conquering a single run of the Tech Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta event, and it took me, since you had to get like 77 medals for it, it takes friggin' forever. So, alright, the first thing you need to do is actually build a good solid team. Now, if you're new, your team compositions are going to be difficult to build, but I'm going to do my best to kind of give you a general overview of how to do this. So we head over to teams, and I'll just look at a team here. Let's just kind of go from scratch. So there's a lot of ways to go about this. There's even a really neat feature that they added, which is the auto team feature. What you can do with that is you can turn that off, and then pick the unit that you want. Now I don't have the LR Turles. I have plenty of units. Don't get me wrong, but I don't have the LR Turles. So let's say for the sake of argument, I want to build a team around this Goku. Okay, then I can just click OK, and it should, in theory, if you have any units that fit his sort of leader skill, will go there. It's very convenient. It's not ideal. I wouldn't do that like all the time, but it might be a good way to get you started. Um, Instead, what you can also do is look at your character. So let's say, for example, again, I want to do that Goku, okay? So here I am. Now, the question is, what teams can he match with? Well, if you notice right here, you see this leader skill thing, and it has this sort of scrolling thing going on. Um, some people have like one leader skill, some have two, some have three. So what this one has, its first leader skill is something called Miraculous Awakening. So we'll start with that. So um, what you'll see is if you slide over all the way to the right of anything single unit, what you'll see is like this list of categories. And what that is any team based on that category this character can fit on. They'll benefit from that leader skill. So what this leader skill says is that any unit that has Miraculous Awakening, which is this guy right here, as one of its tags, they will get buffed as long as this guy is the leader. Okay, if this guy isn't the leader, he won't give the buff, but he gives a buff to all the units as the leader of the Miraculous Awakening or Representative Unit 7. And what it does is it gives every unit 3 key and an HP attack and defense boost of 170%. So if their attack, for example, is 18,200, take 170% of that, and that is how much they'll actually have just from that alone. So it's a nice feature. All right, so here's what you do. You then you click this button down here. Basically you sort, and what you want to do is go to sort category. Now, you can try to find it. That's a pain. Very recently, they implemented a new quality of life update which allows you to search for a particular category. And so, since it was Miraculous Awakening, I just type in MIR, it's the first three letters, and there's my Miraculous Awakening. And what that does is when I click OK, it gives me all of the potential units that satisfy that condition. In other words, every one of these units right here gain benefit of his leader skill. So now, which one to use is entirely up to you, like how you go about that. What I find is actually beneficial is very often, especially in Dokkan events, 9 times out of 10, attack power is really just your critical thing. Like, at your base level, you may want to look at defense too, but I tend to go like, okay, what's the highest attack stat I can get out of each of these? And kind of go from there, and I kind of say, okay, here we go. Boom, 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 boom. Now, that's not perfect, okay? That's not ideal. This is not a great team. Um, but at the very least, right now, what I have is a team that benefits all from that entire leader skill. And so that is the first thing you really need to focus on. Um, The next thing you want to look at is how do units synergize? And I mean, that can get a little tedious because what you need to start doing then is start looking at, okay, what link skills do they have? Um, and the link skills are here and it's like Super Saiyan. Okay, well, what that means is that any unit that has Super Saiyan gets an attack plus 13% if those two units are side by side in the fight. So you know how, like, when you're in a battle, let me just go ahead and just jump into a fight real quick just to show you what I'm talking about. Um, let's see if I can find a particular. I might as well do something, you know. So what I'm doing right now, I'm not going to try to, explain too much, but basically I'm just looking at, like, an event that I do need to run in order to Dokkan a character. Let's see, what I want to Dokkan next? I think he's getting an easy A, so I'm going to go ahead and go here. All right. So we're going to go to Super 2, blah, blah. When possible, do the higher level difficulty because it guarantees you um, seven uh, seven medals that you need in order to upgrade. Outside of that, it's kind of up to you. Well, please tell me I saved my team. I thought I saved it. Oh, yeah, it was over here. So what it'll always do is it will always feed you the team that you last won it with. So, that's always nice. Yeah, that is not what I want for that. There we go. Okay. All right. So, now here's the really cool thing. Right now, the point of a friend unit is that their leader skill also applies. So because every one of these units benefits from MUI Goku's leader skill of Miraculous Awakening, they get it twice, which means not only do they get the 170% boost from him, but they get the 170% boost from his as well. So when you're looking for a friend unit, you're looking for a friend unit that matches. Typically, you want the identical one that you have, or if there's a newer unit that has a better lead skill variance of that, you want to use that. But let's get into this. So, what I'm talking about with the link skills is that when you get into the actual fight, I have it on auto map always just to speed it along. It's my favorite feature of this game right now. I think back in the day when they first introduced this, the whole like game board map style was interesting, but I feel like it's kind of lost its value at this point. Okay, so all right, here's how the link skills work. All right, so notice how when I hold this guy down, he has two highlighted ones, Godly Power and Over in a Flash. That is because he also has Godly Power and Over in a Flash. That means that they're both benefiting from that. And what that looks like, just to give you an idea as to what that actually does, Godly Power will add attack plus 15% and chance of performing a critical hit plus 5%. Now that's because he's at link level 10 with that. At the lower link level, I don't think he gets the same benefits. I think it's, yeah, attack plus 50% and only critical hit percent of chance of critical hit plus 1%. So I mean, which is bad, but it's not as good. Anyways, so what happens is when you move these guys around, what link levels they get together changes because not everyone has the same link skills. So, and I said that wrong, not the link level, but the link skill they have attached is changed. So, just be aware of that. Now, there's also the passives everyone has. Most units are very like self-sufficient. They have passives that affect themselves. Some are support. I find support is less common in this game than it is in some others, but we'll get into that another time. I don't want to overload this. But yeah, so that's effectively how this works. And then you can kind of see, what my team can kind of do with this fight. I don't even really have to take it seriously. Um, real fight starts now. Blah 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 blah. The only problem with auto battle is you can't skip through the cutscenes as fast. That is, I think, a flaw. I'm going to shut off auto battle. Now, one thing to point out is notice how when I have dupe units, they don't sort of highlight each other. They don't have the link levels or share links, so you have to try to rearrange it so that they do. Now, with someone like MUI Goku or whatever, he's fine wherever he's at. He's gonna just rock this, but and he doesn't necessarily need link skills. But it's just something to keep in mind. You can't share links between the same unit, otherwise they would have exact perfect links every time. And so that's generally the basics of team building. So what you want to do effectively is you want to just find a unit that you want to build around. Start with that. Um, or if you have a few units of the same category, maybe start there because what you really want in a team, yeah, you can have one overpowered unit, but it doesn't mean anything if the rest of the team doesn't match, if you don't have anyone to match with it. As you play the game more and more, you're going to find you have ways to fill out like every team, and that's fine. But yeah, at this point in the game, you're probably, going to be able to just find a few teams that work for you. Now, you may be in a position where it's not even category types of teams that you can make. You may have to stick with type teams like AGL, Tech, etc. In those cases, that's probably your best bet to start if you don't have a full set of category. The only issue with those is when you get into heavier Dokkan events, as you notice, the enemy changes their type advantage, so to speak. So now he's STR rather than AGL or whatever. And what that means is if I came in here with let's say a physical team, I would have done fine in the first 2 rounds. But now that he's STR, he'd probably wreck me, or at least would wreck like a more lower level team. Um, so that's where it can get a little tricky at the beginning, and where categories come in better. Oops. Yeah, so that's activated. Sorry, I didn't mean for this video to go quite this long. Um, so, anyways, I'm gonna finish this up, and then let me know if there's anything else at this point that you have questions about. And as time goes on, I can help you out either through chat or make more videos. All right. So I'll just wrap this up. Let this go, and I'll stop talking. Yeah, I think I need like 35 of those myself. Anyways, I hope, like I said, I hope this helped. Let me know if there's anything else I can do, man.